Do what you wanna do. Do what you wanna do. Do what you wanna do. Do what you wanna do.
Welcome, everybody. This is a panel about differing business practices. I mean, when I first read the title, I was like, what exactly does that mean? And I guess it means that there is a way of business, a way of doing business, which is kind of endemic to the American mentality, which could be seen in some quarters as more hard-nosed and more focused than maybe Europeans. But the idea of whether that is actually eroding the spirit of dance music is a big issue, and if a little bit abstract. But on the other hand, one thing I do know for sure is that whatever the American business practice might or might not be, there is a rush to the trough, and it's Europeans doing it, right? So from that point of view, I think nobody's guilty here. There just is a huge opportunity in the States right now, and I'm not surprised that a lot of people want to take advantage of it. But on the other hand, guys, I'm going to bring in Arash here.
For me, I think the term EDM is killing the heart of dance music. I just have a problem with that sort of moniker. I just think I live in America, and I guess what we're seeing on the American side is sort of a full frontal commodification of dance music. And the Americans are saying, hey, this is a growing movement, and this is something that we want to be a part of. Unfortunately, as you get a critical mass, quality can erode. And you have corporations and people that may not understand the history and the legacy of dance music. And I think that there's sort of this battle going on right now.
I think that the music culture has been in Europe for 20 years, and it's just spreading to other parts of the world now. And where you speak to some people from Amsterdam, and they're having 300-400 shows a year, just taking the U.S., I don't know, maybe we have a dozen major festivals a year, and it's a very large country. I know we're going into Mexico, South America, Southeast Asia, places that are just now learning about it and wanting to be part of this culture that's spreading. And I've told some of these things. The first SFX, it was in business for 1 full year, and they sold 65 million tickets. And they had no data on any person who bought the ticket, why they bought it, where they bought it. Hopefully that's going to change with what's happening now around the world.
Maria, you were behind this thing. I can't think of any other way of doing it. But I mean, Maria was kind of part of the formulation of this panel. Was there something in particular that happened that sparked that thought?
Well, I'm an original house baby, and grown up in this scene for 20 years. And I actually chose a year ago to work at Creative Artists Agency, which is a big American agency, because I did feel quite strongly that the heart and soul of what we do or how we got here was at risk. And I felt that it was important that some of the culture of where we came from and how we got here was preserved. The new style of business is about winning more than caring. So, I don't know.
I think I think it's a valid point, but
because I still win, but I care.
Okay, fair dues.
Every generation has a movement,
Absolutely.
right?
Hopefully.
I think some of us were the MTV generation, then there was the hip hop generation, and now it's the dance music generation. And I think the millennials, as you call them, have really adopted this. I think dance music now is a very much shared experience, and I think it reflects the changes in technology that have moved so fast. So I think part of it might be a youth movement that this generation is adopting dance music and calling it their own. Everyone who works in this business should have some sort of value in terms of thinking long term and maybe educating younger people and teaching them about all sorts of types of dance music, not just one particular mold. When the Wall Street Journal pens an article titled "The Dumbing Down of Dance Music," you know, and it's the Wall Street Journal.
What do they know?
Well, I just think that, you know, that's, you know, it's not Mix Mag or DJ Mag, but it's the Wall Street Journal is talking about the dumbing down of dance music. I think we need to stop and think, hey, how are we doing things? Are we doing things right?
People don't seem to remember that it's been going on for 25 years, dance music in America. It's not like it just all of a sudden happened over the past 3 or 4 years and everyone's just doing like the boogie the way they did in the disco days of the late 70s. It's kind of been going on, and it's a 10-year cycle. I mean, in the early 90s you had, you know, whether it was Crystal Waters or CNC Music Factory, and it was all over the radio, and the house clubs were really big. And then it kind of receded a bit. And then 10 years later it got bigger with, like, you know, Dirty Vegas wearing a remix Grammy based on a commercial sync from a TV, I think it was like Volkswagen or something. Then it kind of receded a bit, and then here you go again, another 10 years later, where it's like, you know, you have I think what kind of kicked it off was like David Get a Sexy Bitch, or Pitbull, I Know You Want Me, or Lady Gaga, Just Dance, and it kind of exploded again. But the difference now is that it's the power of the internet, which kind of dictated what was really going on, as opposed to you have the guys at radio, which kind of thought, okay, let's just pick the biggest records and make those the hits. Where now it just there's a kind of wide variety of music that, you know, the kids want to listen to without actually having to listen to radio. So it's definitely just getting bigger every cycle, and we're just seeing the effects of it now.
Like, there's one extreme, which people dub as commercial EDM, and then there's, like, you know, the deep, dark Berlin underground. Yeah. And I just, like, where's the middle ground anymore? You know, I just think that we're just starting to put people and artists in boxes, and I think maybe we have to whether it's, you know, talent buyers, agents, record executives, is maybe we can revert back to that middle ground and find a medium between the two.
That's where I thought we were, though, because I mean, for me, I hear what you're saying, but it strikes me that when something goes that mainstream, it is hitting some sort of middle ground, no? By definition?
I would say, you know, I guess I'm going to be provocative here. I don't think there's a middle ground anymore. Okay. I just think there's one level of, like, superstar DJ that's earning six figures, who's playing festivals, and then you have, you know, the smaller underground guys that sort of stick their noses up at it. And there's, like, this battle right now. Yeah. Is, you know, you're too commercial, you're too underground, and I just feel like it's also made, I think it's affected innovation.
Shelley, what's your take on all this?
Well, I'm not sure I agree with it in that sense. I don't know if we're calling it more commercial, or it has just become that the market has expanded, and people who couldn't hear things before because they're not being played on the radio are picking it up on social media, internet, or whatever ways they can. A friend of mine asked his son, where do you learn what's going on? And his answer was everywhere and nowhere. So there wasn't a specific place. But the same as was just said, the top earners or the bottom of the music, it's always been that way, where hopefully the big artists would take someone and help them break. And a perfect example was Tina Turner was around for a long time, very little known. Jagger and the Stones took her on tour with them and broke her. The same is happening in this industry. You have the minor leagues and the major leagues in baseball. You have stars who are big in movies, and you have the co-stars and the understars. I think that's always been. I don't think that's new today. And I think in general, although everyone goes, oh, I don't want to be commercial, they don't say, I'm not playing Vegas, they're offering me too much money. They go. And Bill Graham, who was the greatest promoter of concerts ever, used to joke about it, but he was serious. It's not the money, it's the money. And it's true.
What's your take on all this, Ash? Do you think we've lost the middle ground?
No, I wouldn't agree. I would say that, you know, there's regardless of genre of music, if we're talking music, there's always that balance between credibility and commercialism. And I think that's a hard line to walk. And sometimes it's easy to be on the commercial side, and sometimes it's easier to be on the underground side, or the non-commercial side. I mean, just reflecting on the American market, I think that there's just that when the scene blew up generally all over the world, there was just so many more opportunities in America because the American culture is very developed in entertainment, and you know, with that just came a lot of opportunities that were interesting to a lot of people. I think even the underground scene are kind of seeing the benefits of the whole scene being blown up, and it doesn't matter if you were small or big, everybody kind of rode that train, and some, you know, hooked on to the more commercial side, and some chose to stay on the underground side and really establish themselves as a proper underground act, and not really even go near any money or anything that would deem anybody to judge them as a commercial.
Sure. Okay, Maria, can you think of any examples of what you regard as good stewardship? People who are really looking to the long term and developing in a responsible way, and who are doing things in a way that you'd agree with?
No, I can't think of anything right now. Sorry,
Damn.
But I mean, the heart of this panel was about, you know, we've been talking about how for 20 years dance music has been massive, and for me, you know, we've been making money with my artists and booking them everywhere, and suddenly in the last 5 years in America there's been a lot more interest in owning that music and buying it and controlling it.
Could you define what you mean by owning? Do you think that this goes beyond normal financial transactions, that people are actually trying to kind of make a kind of heisty sort of grab of some sort of slice of culture here?
Perhaps we've never seen, you know, in Europe and UK and the rest of the world, people with the foresight or the vision to see that investing in such a large way in our culture is going to reap long-term benefits. At the moment, it's unproven. Yeah. Everyone's very worried about the short-term result of mass investing into entities and what that means for the future, whether it means that the scene will continue in the same way.
I think the important thing is how everybody communicates. All those influencers and all those people with a lot of attention, I think it's important how they communicate what this scene is about, or what you know, that's the heart of electronic music that has to be preserved. Is you know, when we go out and acquire these mass big companies, how do we communicate that so that people understand what this is? It's very easy to brand it EDM, and then people go online and they look for EDM because they don't know what that is, and then they're presented with something that isn't really electronic music, but the sender was actually wanting it to be electronic music.
We only have 3.5 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions?
Hi, everyone. So, you know, obviously the conversation today has predominated around the monetizing of the industry in America and how quickly that's happening. And, you know, I guess, you know, we look around and there are a lot of festivals and other companies, content companies, all things like that, that are really putting measures in place to bring real longevity and build a real foundational structure so that dance music in the States lasts, and it's going to be a model that lasts for a long time. And you know, a good example, I was just talking about it just then. I went to EDC New York, and it was it was really nice to see little touches of like Burning Man, and these kids didn't even realize. But there's all these, even if it's the smallest thing, it's all these little influences that we're seeing that people are really taking the care, like Maria was saying, and you know, and trying to do a lot for the industry and make sure that it stays around in the States. And I was wondering, what are some of the things that you guys do personally and within your business, you know, that infuses these sorts of things into what you do?
My team are known as Team Disco at CAA.com for a reason, because we didn't want to be defined by the EDM moniker. I think it's important to care about other people in our business. Ultimately, I find that if you respect a younger agent with a brilliant roster, you eventually end up working with them because you've in some way mentored them or reached out to them or supported them in some way. And also just little things about realistic things about when dealing with festivals and what you need to get your acts on, and not going for the big dollar, and going for the right way of building an artist over a long term. Those things are really important to me. I think the story in the beginning of any artist is the most important bit of their career. And if you go for the dollar shot as soon as they make one great record, you're going to kill it. So we take our time, we take care about everything we do now.
Do a proper job.
Yeah.
Proper responsible job.
And you know, I'm mindful. I'm here now because of the 20-year legacy that I've been part of. I'd like to think that in 20 years' time, we're talking about the legacy of the last 20 years. These things
Me
are
too.
important.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, they mean a lot to me.
And that's a nice positive note to end on. Thank you all very much for coming.
Oh, there's not one more.
Go on then. This is
Okay,
you.
just to end this, can you each come up with an alternative EDM?
Oh, that's evil. That is evil.
I mean, it's for us. I mean, I would just remove the D. I would say electronic music. That's it.
Absolutely. Take out the D, but not the E.
The same, or EMC.
Okay.
Everyone does music? I don't know.
Yeah. I just call it dance music, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know who came up with the term EDM, but it was probably the same people that were calling it techno about 5 years ago. Yeah. And EDM will come and go, but dance music will always stay.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone.